ready for some Dagon. Dagon is a faithful interactive adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's work. Okay.
I am writing this under an appreciable mental strain, since by tonight I shall be no more.
During the game, you will encounter interactive elements. Some of them will allow you to continue your journey. Others will reveal interesting facts about the original short story, its historical background, and the author. Or the elder. Okay.
Penniless, and at the end of my supply of the drug which alone makes life endurable,
yes.
I can bear the torture no longer,
and
shall cast myself from this garret window into the squalid street below.
I'd rather not.
Do not think from my slavery to morphine that I am a weakling or a degenerate.
Morphine? Brother, where's my ketamine?
When you have read these hastily scrawled pages, you may guess, though
Brother?
never fully realize
Where's my
why it is
ketamine?
that I must have forgetfulness or death.
The Jedi Order has taken them. Morphine. Morphine entered into use in the 19th century was routinely administered to treat severe pain during the American Civil War and World War I. It was also sold without restrictions until 1914. Morphine became more popular after the invention of the hypodermic syringe around 1954. Friedrich Stunder, who isolated the substance, originally named it morphium after Morpheus, the Greek god associated with dreams. At the time when Dagon was published, morphine abuse was known as soldier's disease, already posed a big problem in the US. Most unpleasant this is. I shall write my page.
It was in one of the most open and least frequented parts of the broad Pacific that the packet of which I was supercargo fell a victim to the German sea raider.
Well, most unpleasant this is. Is there anything I can look at? Anything? Anything? Nope. Alright. Yes. The sound of cannons.
The Great War was then at its very beginning, and the ocean forces of the Hun had not completely sunk to their later degradation. So that our vessel was made a legitimate prize, whilst we of her crew were treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners.
Naval prisoners we are. We are naval prisoners, right? Well, why can't we just jump into the ocean? Yeah! Brother!
So liberal.
Why don't you turn that frown upside down?
Shut the fuck up.
That 5 days after we were taken.
Physically harm you.
You say that, but you won't.
I will.
Because you love me.
Oh, I fucking do not. Not in the fucking slightest.
You say that now. Stop denying it. You love me.
I fucking don't.
You love your big brother.
Shut up.
When
That smile says everything.
Free,
That smile says everything.
of my surroundings.
Hate you.
Oh! When I finally found myself adrift and free, I had but little idea of my surroundings.
Never a competent navigator.
I could only guess vaguely by the sun and stars that I was somewhat south of the equator.
Of the longitude, I knew nothing.
You love me.
I don't.
I love you, little bro.
I hate you.
Look at these.
I hate you.
Is that how I progress? Is that how I progress? I guess I'll click on it.
The weather kept fair, and for uncounted days I drifted aimlessly beneath the scorching sun, waiting either for some passing
Brother, are you sad?
neither ship
Happy?
nor land appeared, and I began to
Angry?
despair in my solitude upon the heaving vastness of unbroken.
Now tell me, how does it make you feel?
Shut the fuck up. That's how it makes me feel.
You
The
want me to
change
shut up
happened whilst
so
I
you can
slept.
focus when I'm giving you my love and attention?
Shut up.
Its
It's so
details
annoying.
I shall
You never know.
for my
of slumber through
though
trouble and dream
infested,
infested was continuous. Oh, that is a squid. These are fucking. Oh god, this is by far. Where the fuck am I?
When at last I awoke, it was to discover myself half sucked into a slimy expanse of hellish black mire.
Ew.
Extended about
Yeah, I think you like this place.
monotonous
It's slimy and
undulations as
sticky
far as I
and
could
moist.
Shut the fuck up.
see, and in which my boat lay grounded some distance away. Though one
I
might well
missed
imagine
that.
my
You're
first sensation would be of
joking.
Bad
wonder
you are.
at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery. For there was in the air, and in the rotting soil, a sinister quality which chilled me to the very core. The region was putrid. with the
Ew,
carcasses
don't
of
show me
decaying
better
fish
views of
and
it.
other less. Perhaps I should not hope to convey in mere words the unutterable hideousness that can dwell in absolute
God, it's
silence
just
and
tentacles.
immensity.
Am I in a
There
hentai?
was nothing within hearing and nothing in sight save a vast
You.
reach of black slime.
What is this
Yet the very
bullshit?
completeness of the stillness and the homogeneity of the landscape oppressed me with a nauseating fear. The sun was blazing down from a sky which seemed to me almost black in its cloudless cruelty, as though reflecting the inky marsh beneath my feet.
Can I walk? The origins of Dagon. Dagon seems to be inspired by Fishhead, a short novel by Irvin S. Cobb about the unnatural affinities between the hybrid idiot and the strange fish of an isolated lake, supernatural horror and literature H.P. Lovecraft. And Lovecraft's dream about a strange island emerging from the ocean, and him crawling in the ooze that covered its surface. I dreamed that whole hideous crawl, and yet could feel the ooze sucking me down. In defense of Dagon and H.P. Lovecraft, Lovecraft's interest in the topic stemmed from his aversion to fish and sea smells. In his own words, I have hated fish and feared the sea and everything connected with it since I was 2 years old, but I cannot recall what earlier experience gave me such a profound and lasting aversion to the sea and seafood. The Dweller in Darkness, Lovecraft, 1927, Donald Warding. Lose you all! Oh my god.
As I crawled into the stranded boat, I realized that only one theory could explain my position. Through some unprecedented volcanic upheaval, a portion of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions for which innumerable millions of years had lain hidden under unfathomable water depths. So great was the extent of the new land which had risen beneath me that I could not detect the faintest noise of the surging ocean, straining my ears as I might, nor were there any seafowl to prey upon the dead things.
Well, that's nice. My can of spam! Oh no.
For several hours I sat thinking or brooding in the boat, which lay upon its side and afforded a slight shade as the sun moved across the heavens. As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness and seemed likely to dry sufficiently for traveling purposes in a short time. That night I slept but little, and the next day I made for myself a pack containing food and water, preparatory to an overland journey in search of the vanished sea and possible rescue.
That's to progress. Do I have anything else to click on? No. No, I got nothing. Alright.
On the third morning, I found the soil dry enough to walk upon with ease. The odor of the fish was maddening, but I was too much concerned with graver things to mind so slight an evil, and set out boldly for an unknown goal.
Ah!
All day I forged steadily westward, guided by a faraway hummock which rose higher than any other elevation on the rolling desert.
What the fuck? This is not a good sound to hear. Oh, that's a whale. Guys, I speak whale. Hold up, give me a second. Okay. I'm not. Fuck you, Gerald.
That night,
what the
I
fuck?
encamped, and on the following day still travelled toward the hummock, though that object seemed scarcely nearer than when I had first espied
Oh, what the
it.
fuck? I don't like that. The tentacles look so polished. Ugh. Horrors of the Ocean, the creator of Cthulhu, mythos, and fictional underwater city of Rayleigh, was convinced that life could not exist at the bottom of the ocean because the water pressure would make it uninhabitable. Today we know that the darkest depths of the ocean are home to many particular organisms. The deepest dwelling fish have survived. The Mariana snailfish can live about 8,000 meters, more than 26,000 feet below the ocean's surface, in never-ending darkness, and the hellishly crushing pressures hundreds of times stronger than those found at sea level. Upon glancing at the modern photos of deep-sea creatures, such as the anglerfish, the fang-tooth, or the viperfish, and their truly Lovecraftian characteristics, is hard not to find some irony in this. I don't like how polished these tentacles are. They remind me of fucking... Ugh. I think I'm gonna vomit.
By the fourth evening, I attained the base of the mound, which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance.
That's fine.
An intervening valley setting it out in sharper relief from the general surface. Too weary to ascend, I slept in the shadow of the hill.
Oh wow, we're just gonna sleep
I know
right
not
here.
why my dreams were so wild that night.
Oh.
But ere the waning and fantastically gibbous moon had risen far above the eastern plain,
Ooh.
I was awake in a cold perspiration, determined to sleep no more. Such visions as I had experienced were too much for me to endure again, and in the glow of the moon I saw how unwise I had been to travel by day. Without the glare of the parching sun, my journey would have cost me less energy. Indeed, I now felt quite able to perform the ascent which had deterred me at sunset. Picking up my pack, I started for the crest of the eminence.
Ooh. That's all nice.
I
That's
have
pretty
said
good.
that the unbroken monotony of the rolling plain was a source of vague horror to me. But I think my horror was greater when I gained the summit of the mound and looked down the other side into an immeasurable pit or canyon, whose black recesses the moon had not yet soared high enough to illumine.
What the f...
I felt myself on the edge of the world, peering over the rim into a fathomless chaos of eternal night. Through my terror ran curious reminiscences of Paradise Lost and of Satan's hideous climb through the unfashioned realms of darkness. As the moon climbed higher in the sky, I began to see that the slopes of the valley were not quite so perpendicular as I had imagined.
Holy shit. Do I just jump?
Ledges and outcroppings of rock afforded fairly easy footholds for a descent, whilst after a drop of only a few hundred feet, the declivity became very gradual.
That's pretty deep. Yo guys, let's see if there's fall damage.
Urged on by an impulse which I cannot definitely analyze, I scrambled with difficulty down the rocks and stood on the gentler slope beneath, gazing into the Stygian deeps, where no light had yet penetrated. All at once, my attention was captured by a vast and singular object on the opposite slope, which rose steeply about 100 yards ahead of me, an object that gleamed whitely in the newly bestowed rays of the ascending moon.
Ooh. Does it have to make that noise?
That it was merely a gigantic piece of stone, I soon assured myself. But I was conscious of a distinct impression that its contour and position were not altogether the work of nature. A closer scrutiny filled me with sensations I cannot express.
Wow. Oh, the moon. Not near the zenith. Shone vividly above the towering steeps that heamed in the
revealed
chasm.
the fact that a far-flung body of water flowed at the bottom, winding out of sight in both directions and almost lapping my feet as I stood on the slope.
Yeah, it's like watery. Fuck! Never drink cocoa with water. Never mix that shit together. All right.
Across the chasm, the
Use
wavelets
milk.
washed the base of the Cyclopean monolith.
I mean, I cooked this stuff in the Keurig, but damn. Yeah, let it sit for a bit. It'll really be watery. Ugh.
On whose surface I could now trace both inscriptions and crude sculptures.
Ooh. Ooh. Also scary.
The writing was in a system of hieroglyphics unknown to me and unlike anything I'd ever seen in books. Consisting for the most part of conventionalized aquatic symbols such as fishes, eels, octopi, crustaceans, mollusks, whales, and the like. Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern world, but whose decomposing forms I had observed on the ocean-risen plain.
Mm-hmm.
It was the pictorial carving, however, that did most to hold me spellbound.
Yeah. Ooh. Storytelling methods. Dagon contains many themes of storytelling methods that Lovecraft developed in his later works, such as the telling the story through carvings at the Mountains of Madness, the Nameless City, journals and character notes, the Shadow of Time, the Haunter of the Dark, islands emerging from the ocean, the Call of Cthulhu, or fictional beings and deities based on real events and mythologies, Migo and the Whisperer in Darkness. It's also considered the origin of the popular Cthulhu mythos. Some of Lovecraft's other stories also conclude in a manner similar to Dagon, but let's skip the details in order to not spoil the ending.
Plainly visible across the intervening water on account of their enormous size were an array of bas-reliefs whose subjects would have excited the envy of a doré. I think that these things were supposed to depict men, at least a certain sort of men.
Yeah.
Though the creatures were shown disporting like fishes in the waters of some marine grotto, or paying homage at some monolithic shrine which appeared to be under the waves as well. Of their faces and forms I dare not speak in detail, for the mere remembrance makes me grow faint. Grotesque beyond the imagination of a Poe or a Bulwer.
I mean, the left and the right one are alright, but top and bottom, ugh. God, get these guys some plastic surgery.
They were damnably human in general outline, despite webbed hands and feet, shockingly wide and flabby lips, glassy, bulging eyes, and other features less pleasant to recall. Curiously enough, they seem to have been chiseled badly out of proportion with their scenic background, for one of the creatures was shown in the act of killing a whale, represented as but little larger than himself. I remarked, as I say, their grotesqueness and strange size, but in a moment decided that they were merely the imaginary gods of some primitive fishing or seafaring tribe. Some tribe whose last descendant had perished eras before the first ancestor of the Piltdown or Neanderthal man was born.
That's wild.
Awestruck at this unexpected glimpse into a past beyond the conception of the most daring anthropologist, I stood
What
musing
the-
whilst the moon cast queer reflections on the silent channel before me. Then, suddenly, I saw it.
What'd you see?
With only a slight churning to mark its rise to the surface,
God.
the thing slid into view above the dark waters.
Oh no. Oh!
Thundersome and loathsome, it darted like a stupendous monster of nightmares to the monolith, about which it flung its gigantic scaly arms, while it bowed its hideous head and gave vent to certain measured sounds.
Ugh. That's nasty.
Mad then. Of my frantic ascent of the sloping cliff and of my delirious journey back to the stranded boat, I remember little.
Wait, am I on the, Okay, try and look for other things as well. Okay, guess there's nothing.
I believe I sang a great deal and laughed oddly when I was unable to sing.
I don't like these crab arms. What? Ugh. Huh. Oh, the boat.
Indistinct recollections of a great storm sometime after I reached the boat. At any rate, I know that I heard pearls of thunder and other tones which nature utters only in her wildest moods.
Uh-huh. Ooh, this is all very good.
When I came out of the shadows, I was in a San Francisco hospital.
Really?
Brought thither by the captain of the American ship which had picked up my boat in mid-ocean.
Oh.
In my delirium, I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention. Of any land upheaval in the Pacific, my rescuers knew nothing, nor did I deem it necessary to insist upon a thing which I knew they could not believe.
It's only understandable, man. The journalist. Lovecraft was a prominent figure in the amateur journalism. In 1915, he started publishing his own journal called The Conservative, which included political and social commentary, poetry, short stories, and literal criticism written by him and other authors. Howard was a skilled wordsmith, but also took criticisms to heart, which resulted in the decision to step away from writing and poetry and concentrate on weird fiction again. For the first time since his teenage years, Dagon, published in 1917, is one of the shortest stories written during that period. In this example from The Conservative, the master of horror fiction explains his attitude towards warfare and the idea of world peace. Why any sane human being can believe in the possibility of universal peace is more than Conservative can fathom. Should the entire civilized world agree simultaneously to disarm, or one or more nations would undoubtedly retain secret armaments, and at the proper time take advantage of their own more altruistic and less astute contemporaries and in a wild career of contest against unarmed victims. No country is or ever can be above warfare, until the basic impulses of the human animal shall see have miraculously changed. Wow, nice. Can I leave?
Once I sought out a celebrated ethnologist and amused him with peculiar questions regarding the ancient Philistine legend of Dagon, the fish god.
Huh. Dagon, or Dagon, was the main deity of the Philistines worshipped throughout the Middle East as if the ancient god of fertility and crops. In Hebrew, the word Dagon was a common noun for grain. The rulers of Akkad, Mesopotamia, chose him as the patron saint of their war conquest. He also appeared as the judge of the dead in the Assyrian poem and the underworld prison warder in one of the Babylonian texts. He is oftenly taken for a fish god due to the wrong interpretation of his name, as in Hebrew the word dag means fish. In H.P. Lovecraft's words, Dagon is an underwater deity ruling over the deep ones, a humanoid race with fish traits that resides in the oceans. He is worshipped by a secret cult called the Esoteric Order of Dagon. Dang, I'm getting a lot of knowledge. Ah!
But soon perceiving that he was hopeless,
Necronomicon.
I did not press my inquiries.
Let me read it. August Derleth and the Cthulhu Mythos. August Derleth was an American writer and anthropologist. He also befriended Lovecraft and published many of his works through his company, Arkham House. Although he greatly contributed to the popularization of the author's works after his death, he is surrounded by numerous controversies. One of his most questionable decisions involved introducing the good versus evil doctrine. Derleth was a devout Catholic, too. The Cthulhu mythos, which contrasted with Lovecraft's view of the world and his approach to cosmic horror. As a result, the author's works are often misunderstood and misinterpreted in today's culture. What the fuck are you watching? Are they butchering a pig?
No.
It is also worth nothing that Lovecraft was never really interested in creating a mythology, and the term Cthulhu mythos was coined by DERLETH after the author left the mortal plane. That's sad. Okay. Oh. What are we looking at now? The book? Nah, there's something I can look at here. There's no reason to just make me walk over here without doing nothing. Okay, maybe it did. Alright.
It is at night, especially when the moon is
we're
gibbous
back.
and waning, that I see the thing. I tried morphine, but the drug has given only transient surcease, and has drawn me into its clutches as a hopeless slave. So now, I am to end it all, having written a full account for the information or the contemptuous amusement of my fellow men.
Want to kill myself? Last one. Lovecraft on tobacco and alcohol. Lovecraft hated tobacco, even though he used to smoke when he was 12 in order to look and feel like an adult. In his correspondence with friend Reinhard Cleaner, he claims that he quit as soon as he started wearing long pants. He also had a very strong opinion about alcohol, as evidenced by his letter to Zelia Brown dated 13th February 1928. As for his matter of drinking, I've never tasted intoxicating liquor and never intended to having a strong anesthetic digest anything which blunts or coarsens the delicate natural equipoise of the beloved human intellect and imagination. Drinking excited my personal repugage, hence I don't drink, let the herd do what they will. I'm rather in favor of prohibition, the prohibition of any one antisocial force as well as any other. Source, The Spirit of Revision, Lovecraft's Letters to Zelia Brown, Reed, Bishop, H.P. Lovecraft, Sean Brandy, and Andrew Lemon, S.T. Joshi. Is that it? Oh, time to kill myself.
Often, I ask myself if it could not all have been a pure phantasm. A mere freak of fever, as I lay sun-stricken and raving in the open boat. This I ask myself, but ever does there come before me a hideously vivid vision in reply. I cannot think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling and floundering on its slimy bed, worshipping their ancient stone idols and carving their own detestable likenesses on submarine objects soaked granite. I dream of a day when they may rise above the billows to drag down into their reeking talons the remnants of puny, war-exhausted mankind. Of a day when the land shall sink and the dark ocean shall ascend amidst universal pandemonium.
This is awesome. One day the fish people will rise up against the humans.
The end is near.
No shit.
I hear a noise
hear
at the door, as of some immense slippery body lumbering against it.
Anything I can grab, like a weapon, maybe. Back. Give me something. Ooh, that's a nice bed. Well, I got nothing to do.
It shall not find me.
Well, I guess it did.
God, that hand! The window! The window!
Jump! Jump! I guess he landed on somebody. Did he live or? Thank you for playing. We hope you enjoyed immersing yourself in our little pool of cosmic horror. We would appreciate if you took a look at Moment to Rate Dagon. Check out our other games and DLCs. That was good. I'll give you a feedback, bud. I'll give you some feedback. Very interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. Cool. There we go. Yes, I would. Alright, that was Little Glass Bottle DLC, Eldritch Box. How much? $5? I'll do it someday. I didn't get all the achievements? What the fuck? Find half of the trivia pieces hidden in the game. Trivia pieces. Alright, that was it. There was Dagon. So if you guys want to play this game for yourself, it's on Steam right now for free. And that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Ah, fuck, I almost fell. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. It helps the channel a lot. And I'll see you in the next one.